Do you know that the issue that we term hair loss or alopecia is something that we are seeing on the rise in young men as young as 20, even some in their teen years? Now, it's something that has been filled with so much mystery because, one of the things that we love about our general makeup is our hair. And, as a young man, you have different hairstyles that you want to portray to the ladies. So on today's episode of Circle Direct Podcast, we're going to elaborate more on what the term hair loss or alopecia is, what really causes it in men, and how we can prevent it. Hair loss or alopecia is a disorder that is not particular to a certain gender. It affects men and it affects women, but it's more prevalent in men, especially in the elderly men, people from their 40s to their 50s. But like I discussed, it's now becoming prevalent in men even in their teen years. And we all know that for everyone, your hair is like your crown. It's like something that you use to show different styles, for those that are in their teen years, in their 20s, and even for those that are in their 30s, you have different hairstyles you want to show off. And of course, it also goes a long way in portraying your image, and it also beautifies you. So imagine now that you are in your 20s, you still want to rock so many different hairstyles, you want to put different colors, and then you are already discovering that your hair is already receding. It will fill you with so much fear. So today's episode, we want to go to the nitty-gritty of this thing called hair loss or alopecia. Now, alopecia affects, like I said, every gender. It's not particular to any precise gender, but we see it more prevalent in men. Now we're going to go to hair growth, and we're going to discuss the different phases that we have in hair growth. We have the anagen, which is where the hair sprouts and starts to grow. Then we have the catagen phase. This is the sort of like the brief phase that the hair growth is. Then we have the telogen. That is the resting phase. That is the phase where it's almost like the hair will not grow anymore before it now sheds. And then, of course, after the hair sheds, it's going to regrow. It's going to go through that phase again. In a day, we have sort of like 50 to 100 hair strands falling off. So, and of course, we know those hair strands can fall off from when we comb our hair or when the hair has actually reached the telogen phase where it now breaks off. So this is a phase that occurs in everyone. And there are so many issues that can actually cause that phase to even be more pronounced. So for men now, especially with our young guys now that are having dreads, some of them are braiding their hair, some of them are having different colors attached to their hair. So there are some phases that are going to ensure that it will pronounce hair loss more. So if you're a young man, for instance, now, and then you have braids on, by braiding your hair, you're pulling out your hair strands. So definitely such things would cause you to experience hair loss faster, especially if you have it in your family line that men tend to lose their hair more, So we're going to now go into the phase of what actually leads to hair loss in men generally. Now, before we go into the factors that causes hair loss or baldness in men, like I explained earlier, baldness or alopecia can occur in both genders. So, and for the women, they have what we call hair extensions. So, and even I've actually even seen some hairstylists that, when the women go to the salon, by the time they do the hair, you'll be surprised. The woman she'll be surprised that she actually has, her bald spots have been covered because, for women, it's even more, it's more emotionally challenging for women because, a woman, she wants to rock her hair, whether it's long or short, in different styles. So, a lot of hairstylists have discovered ways to maneuver and hide hair loss in women. But, for guys, a lot of guys, as sad as it might seem, they'll be like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll just rock my hair, my bald spots like that. But, it's something that elderly men tend to, they come to terms with because of age. They have rocked the hair, they rock the styles in their youth. So now that they're in their 50s, their 60s, they are more comfortable with bald spots. But, imagine you're in your 20s, you're in even your 30s, and you now discover that you're already experiencing receding hairline. You're having, your crown is already showing dryness, or like, let me put this like Sahara Desert in the middle. it can make you feel a bit, your morale will even be low. So I really want to explain to you today on the things that actually causes this thing. So if you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s, you can quickly start to identify this thing. Now, the first thing is genetics. Now, if you are a man and you have your father in his 30s, his 40s, he experienced hair loss at an early stage, or your grandfather, there's a likely chance of you developing it. But however, there are some individuals that actually their father had still in their 70s have full hair, and they're in their own 30s, they're already having receding hairline. So still, genetics has a role to play, but in some cases it's not so. It's something that you have to look out for. Then we also have the case of, being the hormonal aspect of it. There are hormones like your testosterone and dihydrotestosterone, DHT, which also contributes to hair loss. And how does it do so? It starts to shrink your hair follicle. I know your hair follicle is like the place where the hair sprouts from. So if it shrinks, what does that mean? It's like you're suffocating it from growing. So if the hair follicle starts to shrink, there's a tendency you start to experience hair loss. Then what would I also talk about is our lifestyle. Men, the things that we consume sometimes, like, beer, some certain drinks, then of course some habits like smoking. It has been shown that these things too can actually contribute to developing hair loss at an earlier stage in life. Then of course, men tend to, we have more of a stressful lifestyle. It's the man that you see, he wakes up early in the morning, he's already on the road, he gets to work, there's tension. I know women, being emotional, they're able to express themselves if they're in an environment that is a bit toxic. They have a friend that they can unburden their fears or their anxieties to. But we guys, we always want to chest things. So in that case, we tend to even age faster. We tend to put a lot of burden on our emotional and our mental state. And at the end of the day, it affects our hair. It's just unfortunate that, we can have a full chin of hair on our beard, but in the head, the hair is already, we are losing out on the hair. So, that also goes a long way to affect how you lose your hair. Then, even though this other aspect I'm going to discuss is not really gender-based, but a case of your health. Let's say you are a man or a woman and you have cancer, or you're going through chemotherapy, or there are even cases of some certain medications that have been shown to lead to hair loss. So in such stages, there's really nothing you can do about it as long as you're on those medications. But for chemotherapy, once you stop your radiation treatment or your chemo treatment, after 6 months, there will definitely be, your hair will start to come back on. Now, there are definitely things that actually still can also contribute. And this one will go to young men. Now young men, they are putting dye on their hair. Such chemicals, they tend to weaken the hair roots. You do some hairstyles that it tugs at your hair scalp. Definitely, it will lead to weakening of the hair follicle. So you have to now ask yourself that, do you want to do such hairstyles at the risk of losing your hair at a earlier stage in life? So these are things that you also have to consider. Then there are other things that we have to look at. Your diet. A lot of people right now, the way we live, we always talk about that on Circle Direct podcast, that your nutrition plays a major role on your overall well-being. So if you're already living a lifestyle that is full of processed foods, we are not having well-balanced meal, you always eat out, you snack a lot, definitely there are so many enzymes that are going to be affected, which will not allow your cells to be able to be rejuvenative. And then, of course, it will also affect how hair can grow quickly. Then, of course, you're a young man, you're not taking essential vitamins and minerals like zinc, or your vitamin A, your vitamin C, your vitamin E, that can actually help to promote hair growth. Definitely, it's going to affect you at your later stage in life. Definitely, as we've spoken about all this, we really want to bring more attention to how you can delay hair loss. Yes, it's inevitable that some of us will still have receding hairline, but if you're able to quickly, address it now and put in certain measures, then you might delay the rate at which you might experience baldness later. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Circle Direct Podcast. We believe that everything you've heard today has been of immense benefit to you. In the terms of hair loss, it's something that affects a lot of people. And if you are able to quickly, identify that you might be someone that is going through such a phase, and you're able to quickly put in preventive measures, you will be able to enjoy your full hair, even at your 60s or your 70s. So as we always say, feel free to drop your comments, subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends. And if you have any comments or if you have any topic you love us to share, please feel free to always drop them at the comment section. Until I see you next time, have a great day.